As thousands of civilians rise against Pakistan's oppressive rule in Pakistan-Occupied Kashmir, one question echoes louder than ever. Where are the voices of Farooq Abdullah, Omar Abdullah, Mehbooba Mufti, Sajad Lone, and Engineer Rashid? Why this selective silence when innocent Muslims are being gunned down by Pakistani security forces? These leaders never hesitate to accuse India of human rights violations that have never happened. Yet when these Pakistani army open fires on unarmed protesters, their moral compass vanishes. At least 12 civilians have been killed and over 200 injured in PoK as the Pakistani Army and police crack down on massive protests led by the Awami Action Committee. But the so-called champions of Kashmiri rights have chosen to remain silent, exposing their hypocrisy before the entire nation. What began as a local protest over economic injustice has now turned into a full-blown civilian revolt against Islamabad's military establishment. The people of PoK have had enough of being treated as colonial subjects. The Awami Action Committee has mobilized thousands, bringing the region to a standstill. Their 38-point charter of demands includes tax relief, floor and electricity subsidies, and the completion of long pending development projects. But more importantly, they are demanding the elimination of 12 assembly seats reserved for Kashmiri refugees living in Pakistan, seats that have long been manipulated by Pakistan's intelligence agencies to control PoK politics. When Pakistani security forces responded with live bullets, the anger of civilians only grew stronger. From Dadial to Muzaffarabad, from Rawalakot to Neelam Valley and Kotli, streets are now echoing with slogans rejecting Pakistan's occupation. Eyewitnesses report that Islamabad has sent thousands of troops from Punjab to crush the movement. The internet was shut down at midnight in PoK as the regime feared that images of state violence would reach the world. Yet despite all repression, the people have risen in unison, refusing to bow before Pakistan's Punjabi-dominated military. The hypocrisy surrounding this tragedy is glaring. When even a small protest occurs in Kashmir, global media outlets like BBC, Reuters and Al Jazeera rush to amplify the story with headlines on Indian oppression. But today, as Pakistani forces shoot peaceful Muslim civilians in PoK, the same outlets look the other way. The same human rights activists who cry over Gaza have no words for PoK. Why? Because it does not suit their political narrative. Pakistan's state-run media has been ordered not to cover the protests. Meanwhile, international media houses that once highlighted unrest in Ladakh are now silent on the massacre in Muzaffarabad. The selective outrage is staggering. Even Islamic nations that often lecture India on minority rights have remained quiet. The sad truth is that when Muslims kill Muslims, as Pakistan's army is doing in PoK, the world chooses silence. In contrast, Indians are watching closely. The Ministry of External Affairs issued a strong statement through spokesperson Randeep Jaiswal saying, "We have seen reports on protests in several areas of Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, including brutalities by Pakistani forces on innocent civilians. We believe this is a natural consequence of Pakistan's oppressive approach and systemic plundering of resources from these territories." India's stand is clear. Pakistan must be held accountable for its atrocities in PoK. Back home, the silence of Kashmiri political elites is shameful. Farooq Abdullah, Omar Abdullah, Mehbooba Mufti, Sajad Lone and Engineer Rashid have often projected themselves as defenders of Kashmiri rights. They never miss a chance to attack India, even over baseless accusations. Yet today, when real blood is being shed by Pakistani bullets in PoK, they have nothing to say. If they truly cared about Kashmiris, they would have spoken out for the people of PoK. People who share the same language, faith and identity. Their silence proves what many already know. Their politics is not about justice or humanity, but about opportunism. These leaders have built their careers on rhetoric, not courage. They will raise their voice against Bharat to stay relevant, but will never condemn Pakistan, fearing to upset their political calculations. Meanwhile, ordinary civilians in PoK, unarmed, impoverished and desperate, are showing more courage than these self-proclaimed leaders. Reports indicate that Islamabad's panic is growing. Intelligence inputs suggest that the Pakistani army may attempt a misadventure along the line of control to divert public anger away from PoK. The Indian armed forces are now on high alert across the LOC. Meanwhile, PoK protesters have captured several Islamabad police personnel who were sent to crush the demonstrations. Images of Pakistani police kneeling before angry crowds in PoK have gone viral despite internet restrictions. Even Pakistani diaspora communities are now rising in anger. In Birmingham, UK, British Kashmiris confronted and heckled Pakistan's consulate general over the killing of civilians in PoK. This unrest marks one of the largest grassroots movements in PoK's modern history, uniting citizens across ethnic and class divides. The people of Pakistan-Occupied Kashmir are writing a new chapter of defiance. Their blood-soaked struggle is a reminder that Pakistan's occupation rests not on legitimacy but on brutality. And yet, those who claim to represent Kashmiri voices, Farooq Abdullah, Omar Abdullah, Mehbooba Mufti, etc., stand exposed. Their silence speaks volumes. The people of PoK are Muslims too, yet no outrage rises for them because their oppressor wears the same religion's name. The hypocrisy is global and it is local as well. But as PoK's brave civilians continues their fight for justice, they remind the world that the truth and courage can never be suppressed forever. Their resistance is not just against Pakistan's military rule, but also against decades of deceit by political elites who used Kashmir as a tool for power. The uprising in PoK has shattered the myth that Pakistan is a protector of Kashmiris. Instead, it has exposed the reality that the real oppressor of Kashmiri Muslims lives in Rawalpindi, not New Delhi.